All right, everyone. I believe that at this point, Trump has secured a sixth key to the White House on the back of the North Korea stuff that's gone on. Now, one of the big promises that was made at the last summit that Trump touted so much and said it will happen, expeditiously, was that Kim Jong-un said, yeah, we'll return the POW remains that we've got. We'll start doing that. It's going to take a while, but we'll start exhuming them, sending them back. Several dozen POW remains have now been restored to the United States. This is highly significant because if North Korea didn't intend to go through with, if not denuclearization, a scaling down of tensions, the end of the Korean War, actually signing a peace deal maybe with Seoul at some point, if they didn't intend that, they wouldn't be returning POW remains because they'd be a good bargaining chip. No, instead you'd say, okay, we've dug up the POW remains. Look, here's, propaganda picture. Here's like 500 dead bodies and piles of ashes and stuff from the Korean War. You can have these, but we want concessions. Remove a couple of your troop groups. Stop the drills with South Korea. Sign a piece of paper claiming you won't do that for 10 years. Something like that would be done. Instead, they unilaterally started dismantling some missile sites. That wasn't even a promise that was made by Kim Jong-un. So they're essentially dismantling part of their missile program. You realize how significant that is? The missile program is the biggest threat that North Korea has. Look, it's not just nukes. The atomic and early H-bomb designs they're using have to be dropped out of a plane. As far as we know, there's no reason to suspect that they've developed a missile capable of carrying an atomic payload. Those missiles, though, can be armed with chemical weapons. They've got a lot of those, possibly bioweapons. Chemical is considerably more likely because it's considerably cheaper and safer to manufacture in some cases. What would happen if they mounted, riddle me this, maybe a couple thousand of these, decently ranged missiles. The early, like the No-Dong missiles, they can only go a few miles, but they've got intermediate missiles that are capable of hitting anything in South Korea, parts of Japan. What would happen if you fired off a couple thousand of those tipped with nerve gas or something in the metropolitan areas? The Patriot missile batteries that are in these locations, they'd knock maybe 10% of them out of the sky. Most of them would hit their targets or near them. You know how many people would die? No, it'd make an atomic weapon look tame. It'd kill millions of people. The death toll would be catastrophic. They're talking, they could wipe out every American soldier near the border. They could probably kill everyone in Seoul. They might be able to target Tokyo. Millions and millions would die. It would cripple the manpower of South Korea, by the way, at the same time that it would cripple our defenses. At that point, it'd be a massacre. And the only response would be the United States would deploy a couple of our nuclear weapons on them. Pyongyang would be ashes. The Korean War would be over. It's just that 10, 20 million people would have died in the process. Not a pretty sight. Kim Jong-un, I think, knows this, and he's like, this whole shtick is getting old. We've already got the H-bomb, the ultimate bargaining tool. We can have a quid pro quo now. Now, at this point, what I would say, between dismantling some missile sites, pledging, at least at some point in the future for more summits, they've upheld their bargain with regards to at least some of the POW remains, and more needs to be done. I think we should pay them for exhuming them. I think we should pay them a hefty amount of money, and I'll tell you why. It takes... The missile removal was unilateral. Uncle Sam didn't include that, at least publicly. On the public side, that was never part of the bargain. They gave us something extra, and it's something significant. Let's pay for their time and effort spent exhuming bodies that are being returned to us anyway. That's what I would do. Give them 1 billion big ones and say, okay, keep it up. Let's have more of a warming of relations. By the way, we need another summit, and we need it as fast as possible. This gives him the sixth key to the White House, Trump, because it's a major victory. This was something that a lot of people speculated wouldn't even happen. They said as soon as North Korea said, well, Pompeo conducted himself poorly the last time he was here, they all said, ha ha, look, Trump lost. The North Koreans snookered him. They got South Korea to stop propaganda broadcasts, and he won't do the drills, and now North Korea will go back to business as usual. Business as usual doesn't involve the return of POW remains. Business as usual certainly doesn't involve the removal of a main missile platform. That's the gem of their military. The artillery is the most formidable when it comes to preventing any possibility of a ground invasion of North Korea, because you could kill a couple million people in the first hour of fighting. But the most deadly, overall is their missile program. Look, all the other nations in the region could team up on North Korea. And as long as they had enough missiles primed and ready, they could still make the opposing armies pay such catastrophic prices on both civilian and military targets with chemical weapons alone, with the possibility of hydrogen bombs, that it would, I mean, nobody would even fathom doing such a thing. Not unless they had a massive preemptive capability already in the area and they intended to use it. Like if the US sent the whole fucking Navy and Air Force over and targeted literally every military installation in the whole border at once, you could probably keep casualties on our side below 1 million. But it would still be nuts. The number of dead, I mean, it'd be a mountain of skulls. It would look like Pol Pot was there. Nobody wants that to happen. Highly significant, enormous victory for Trump. His enemies can't take this one away from him. They can't say it's not significant because if North Korea didn't intend to uphold denuclearization and/or a peace treaty, a binding final end to the Korean War, they wouldn't return significant numbers of power mains. They would hold it over our heads. They'd say, yeah, we took them out. Now we want money for it. Give us money and we'll give you the power mains. They would hold it over Trump's head. Instead, Kim Jong-un said, fuck it. He's just giving them anyway. What, by the way, has North Korea really gotten out of us? They've gotten some concessions from South Korea at the end of the propaganda broadcast. What did we do? We haven't moved any of our troops out of the region. We haven't moved our aircraft carriers away. We haven't declared that we're going to get rid of some sanctions. No, the United States, on the contrary, under Trump has said, hey, sanctions are staying 100% there until denuclearization happens. You declare your stockpile, you give up your bombs, then we can talk sanctions. Then we can talk everything else. Until then, as far as we're concerned, it doesn't matter how many good things you do. And yet Kim Jong-un's still at the bargaining table. Wow, it's almost like in North Korean politics, looking weak is a bad idea, something that neither Bush nor Obama understood. Or Clinton. Remember when he went over with Kim Jong-il, he gave him free nuclear material. Hey Kim, we'll build you a nuclear reactor and we'll give you fuel. And you can power all of North Korea with it. But you need to, promise us you'll allow weapons inspectors. And he's like, oh yeah, okay, that sounds good. The first thing he does once the reactor starts cooking out, no, we're not allowing weapons inspectors. No, now we have a nuclear program. What are you going to do, invade us? Ha ha ha, I'll kill 10 million people if you do. Be a little bit of a problem. By the way, our peak readiness, our peak ability to intervene militarily in North Korea was in the 1990s under Clinton. Our peak troop readiness, the point at which our military was primed and ready to go at a better degree than any other point in human history, was during the Clinton administration. One thing Clinton did well was managing the military fairly easily. And, of course, at the time, they didn't have atomic weapons. They had standard weapons. Then he realized that their missile program was already where Iran's is today, and he had sarin and things like that, and he thought twice about the concept of invading North Korea. Sadly, a military response would kill millions or tens of millions of people. So yeah, I hope, even people who are on the left, you should at least hope that Trump does well with these negotiations. It's funny because there was a piece the other day and they're like, Iran is much smarter than Trump. That's funny. Yeah, I think you're going to live to eat your words in the next year or two. Honestly, I don't agree with threatening Iran. I would never support any strikes or a war with Iran, no matter what they do. They're over there. I don't really give a fuck. But Trump's strategy may work. If it does, with Iran and North Korea, that would be quite something. This counts, in my estimation, as a major foreign policy success, the sixth key to the White House. He's got incumbency. He's got, I believe, the three major economic markers. He's got all three of those. And then he's got significant changes to interior policy. Whether positive or negative, that's not part of the equation. This is number 6, major foreign policy victory. So he's already lined all those up. He only needs one more and he probably wins re-election. At that point, it'd be very funny because I have a feeling that dude is going to be predicting a Trump victory in 2020. I have a feeling that Trump will probably hit 8, actually, not just 7. That's about all. Peace out.